I'm that girl who knows now that I should put warning labels on my videos, warning this content may cause snot bubbles. It was an extraordinary experience to have the session, to be able to bring that collective together for all. And it was a great honor and privilege to be able to be there in the energy. When I listened back to that session, the energy was not as intensive as it felt during the time of the session, but that is because we could feel all of the energies of all of the collectives being there in the present as we were focusing on that session. It was extraordinary, and it was really interesting to hear back from people how they responded with that video. Of course, true light workers, not the tourists, not the spiritual tourists, not the hobbyists, but the real spiritual connected, honestly connected into the planet, to people, to humanity, to themselves. They really get the significance and impact of those sessions. And so they rightfully so responded in a certain way, which was a profound release, because we can feel a lot of people's pain, a lot. And so while there are other people that just judge, ooh, yuck, drug addicts, ooh, yuck, poor people, ooh, yuck, poverty, ooh, yuck, people that are on a benefit, ooh, yuck, all that sort of stuff, right? We know that there is lots of people in privilege who still are so self-absorbed, they haven't even considered other people, other countries and other positions, because, you know, not their problem, not in their face. Except, you know, if they have a phone handy with a good camera, they will definitely make sure that they donate money and at least post that on social media, or at least tell as many people as possible, I was really nice today and I gave money to poor people. I'm spiritual. Yeah, that kind of stuff starts pissing me off. And I'm finding more and more people are talking to me with their little cloak of spirituality egos, because they're hobbyists and tourists and they think that this is suddenly now really cool. It is not cool, because actually when you can see and sense what humanity has had to go through and what this earth has had to go through, it's quite a serious big deal. So yeah, sorry for the buzz cool people. This is an interesting time, because I was talking to quite a few people about, so what now? How is this going to change now moving forward, that we've got all of the collectives are now working with each other rather than some working against, right? And we do know that there are supposed to be those experiences and those illusions of the dark and the light and the good and the bad, and, you know, all of this sort of perceived stuff for those lessons and experiences. So we keep wondering, what do we have to experience now? What does it change? It's so fascinating. We're so curious. And I know Sally and myself definitely want to get right in there into the nitty gritty to figure out what's going on next, because we know what has to happen. Part of me was like, does this mean maybe we can heal? Can we heal the world now? Can we do this all here now? What does this mean? How big is this? How big is this? Because this is exciting to me, to be able to have hope that many people can naturally evolve here. That's like really exciting for me to hear and consider this. And as we know from learning about information from sessions, we've been told, oh, this planet's going to implode, to versus it's going to be refurbished. And now I'm like, oh, is this? So part of me was kind of like, yeah, this is really exciting. Let's just see, let's cross our fingers and toes and hope, right? Let's hope that there's something fantastic. And when I tapped in, it was cute of me apparently to have had this hope. So there's that. So anyway, when I was coming to my body this morning, there was a song playing in my head. And this often happens when they're wanting me to focus and listen to the messages that they want me to remember. because I'm pretty busy during the day and I don't really want to bother them and tap into them. In fact, I kind of feel like, as much as I joke that they are perving onto us, I don't want to be a pervert and perv into them all the time to ask them all sorts of bits and pieces, because that is, that's a drain. And I want to empower myself to feel into my own intuition of where I should be going. And so I often always ask them in sessions, double checking, like, is this all right? Was this right? Was this right? Was this right? Just to make sure, because I don't want to be a problem. I want to be part of the solution, to be able to help, like everyone, right? We want to be doing our life contracts because we have been assigned them. And we've promised, we've made a pledge that we would be of service. And so the more sessions you do and the more you hear how you're supposed to be of service, you don't take that as a suggestion box, kind of like, no, next, or like a fortune cookie. Nah, didn't like that one, but I like the taste of the cookies. What's another one? So there's that. So the song that was played in my head was a Michael Jackson song. Now, I've heard a few of his songs before being played while I was waking, and today was the Earth song. So it took me a while to find out what it was, because it wasn't the main lyrics. It was, I don't know what you call it, not the main chorus, but something else. So I had to listen to, I thought it was Heal the World. Because wouldn't that just be like the ultimate sign, right? Oh yes, heal the world. No, it wasn't Heal the World. It was the Earth song. And when you listen to the Earth song, you suddenly remember what has gone on with this planet and what it's had to endure and what humanity has endured, and also what humanity has ignored. Profoundly ignored. And when I've talked to quite a few people who are in privilege, and they're like, oh no, I don't want to leave my mansion, don't want to shift, no, I'm good, I've got great seats in my private seat compartment with my theatre and my sports events, and I've got great I got great membership at the golf club, blah, 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 blah. Why on earth would they? This is a punishment. They're a victim to having to shift. Why me? And of course, all the questions aren't about, can we send love and healing to those people who are really struggling with their life choices? None of that. None of those conversations actually sort of seem to come out regularly through certain people, how they are completely oblivious to other cultures and other countries. And while we have known that, we choose our life contracts, we choose where we want to live, just think how hard and cushy, how hard our lives have been in our pretty relatively cushy experiences, right? Most of us have houses to keep us warm, and we have loved ones, and we have got lots to be grateful for, and we designed that, but we still feel like there is a lack, and there's still something that we shouldn't be like jazz hands in, and we feel so hard done by. And then you think about those people who really have wanted extra challenges, and are starving, are poor, and don't have any home security, and are constantly trying to survive. And we never really sort of think about those, let alone try to offer love and support to them, because we're trying to balance from our metaphysical perspective. Well, they chose those lives, but we chose our lives, and we've been struggling, right? Especially when we've started to be on the journey of metaphysics, right, where we've tried to learn and grow and understand the bigger perspective of things. So even with our comfortable lives, we have struggled in one way or another. So imagine someone who's asked for a harder lifetime to be able to squish in all their karma, all their experiences, and they're doing it really rough. While it was their choices, can't we just still send them compassion and love, rather than having to be like, I'm such a good humanitarian, I donated money to them. Okay, cool. What about for free? Why don't you just send them massive big love bubbles and honor them, honor their life contracts, but also encourage them, support them, make them feel not so leperish. That's what Jesus would say, right? Leperish. Yeah, so anyway, it's I feel like lots of people are still afraid, right? They're still afraid of change, and they're still afraid of other family members having to be impacted by waking up really abruptly. And so they want to dismiss everything because they don't want, they don't want their families to ultimately grow and have these experiences. So they're so afraid for other people that they really limit their own lives in some ways. So there's that. Yes, so we do want to do another session where it's like as if you've never heard this content ever before. We want to ask again really basic summarizing questions to be able to just see what's really changed now. When we heard the unity of those collectives from the reptilians now realizing that they were disempowering their own collective, I mean, that was pretty shameful. Like, they really humbled themselves down for that. I think that, when you have it, you always want for epiphanies and to have like big light bulb moments. And then when you realize you have this massive epiphany that you've been a massive a-hole, it's not the epiphany you wanted, right? You wanted to be like epiphany of, oh my gosh, now everyone else can see how fantastic I am. And then the reality is, oh my gosh, everyone can see. Undo. So anyway, yeah, there's always lots to think about and process when we have big sessions like that. And it was exciting to know that from the Arcturian perspective, I could feel they were just so grateful now that the reptilian collective, just that aspect of those holding them back, which is holding everyone back, right? To some degree. The Arcturians were just so pleased that there was now this open space for love, because they had been so focused on density and trying to control and manipulate. And that could be said for helicopter parents and handbrake husbands and wives and all that sort of stuff, right? You so try to limit and control and protect your own that you're stifling growth, you're stifling expansion, and you're just adding density because you're so afraid. And ultimately, wasn't it the reptilian perspective as well? They were so afraid of change. They were so afraid of expansions and evolutions. In fact, they actually almost like bit the heads off their own, probably a poor choice of words, but they shunned some of their own who were wanting to like move the collective to an expansion, move the collective to a high frequency vibration of an opportunity for growth and something that truly empowered them, not the illusion of power. Control and manipulation is merely an illusion of power. It doesn't ring true or resonate with full true growth and integrity. So there's lots to be said there, isn't it? Lots and lots. And I, being me, was frustrated. Why hasn't this been done before? Why hasn't a session like this been done before, and all the reptilians could come together and have a little a little summit, a little meet and greet of each other to hear each other out, plus have all these other collectives there watching and listening and supporting all of this event that occurred in that session. It bothered me. Why the F has this not happened before? Why has this not happened before? Why could we not have this happen before? So then part of me is like, oh, well, it's all divine timing. And then the part of me is like, that's not fucking good enough. It was impacting people, good people, really good people. It was impacting families. It was impacting children. So there's that. And so it really bothers me that these things have been occurring for so long. And yet, focusing on many people who, you know, basically have got the equivalent of a split nail, who are desperately struggling to have sessions because they just need to understand why the split nail is occurring to them. You know, self-indulgence. And it just feels like, yes, those sessions are very valid, you know, because those people are really sticking, and they haven't basically loved themselves, loved others, let shit go, see it for experiences and lessons and healed from it, and make moving forward choices of empowerment. And this is the thing that the subconsciouses are saying. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. You guys are making it so much more effing harder for yourselves. And yet when you struggle and when you have to like sort of step up, you're victims. You fall over and be like, oh, it's little, it's not, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I'm in this mood because when you see the totality of all of the things that have happened that should never have occurred, it's just so morally dense and challenging, and it's so frustrating. And while I know all is lessons, all is fantastic, you know, all great opportunities for growth, it should never have gotten this far. And a lot of people just don't see that. It's like, oh, it's not that bad. It's so beautiful, this planet. Yes, indeed. This planet was absolutely designed to be beautiful. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean it's such a beautiful, idyllic looking paradise. We can fucking shit on it, not recycle, don't care about it, burn all the resources, and treat people like what is it? What has humanity been treating? What have some people been treating humanity like? Commodity. Whatever that means, that just came in. So I'm frustrated, but also I know most of you get it as well, right? When we really look at how ridiculous this has got, it's quite ridiculous. So, you know, I'm in that sort of mood where it's like, I want to now make sure nothing else has been overlooked by lazy assumptions that like, oh, we've already done that. I already felt like we'd already organized and asked, because we were trying to figure out what is stopping them from letting go, what is stopping them from healing. And last time we talked about it as a collective, they said, we're so scared, we don't know where to go, there's nowhere for us, you know, we thought we were supposed to inherit this earth, right? I'm like, I thought that was the meek. They get to inherit the world too, don't they, in some regards. So anyway, pardon for the mood. Oh, she's sassy today. I can feel everyone thinking, but rightfully so, right? I'm expressing how frustrating it is to have people who know the shift, who know they should love themselves, love others, empower each other, not get so distracted in materialism, actually consider how hard it is for other people and actually try to make a difference in this world. And then, you know, that's how we're all supposed to be. We're all supposed to be like that. And yet other people like, it looks too hard. It looks like hard work. Nah, I'm not interested in it. I'll think about doing something when the laser happens. I'll think about doing something when the new earth happens. Or I already know I'm going to be a big special deal on the new earth, so I'm not doing jack shit for you guys now. I'm already done my inner work. Like, those are interesting choices. And you know what? I have just discovered along this journey a lot of interesting choices that aren't really empowering others. And you know, it's a journey. I respect that, but I also know that we're here to help people. We're truly here to help people. And so many people, you know, those tourists they only get their own self. It's like they go somewhere, like they come to Earth, they take photos of Earth, you know, but they're not checking out the real culture and the real situations. They're going to the popular places and taking photos of the popular things with lots of selfies to make sure everyone knows that they're there, but they're not checking out other things that are really sort of, you know, need their energy. And as light workers, remember how we didn't want to think about, you know, the concentration camps in Germany. And so it's like lots of the big light workers were like, shame, that's so terrible, that's so dense. And in sessions, they're like, hey, light workers, can we look at the density of things and actually love it and heal it, please? That would be really great because that's kind of your job. But then those light workers are like, oh no, that's too dense and yucky for us. We will break nails if we have to like look at that stuff. So we would just love to look at ponies and unicorns and, you know, think about jazz hands and princess cups and blah, 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 blah. Again, still in that mood. But you get it, right? You get it that we have accidentally been distracted from what we're supposed to be doing as light workers. And, you know, we ask in sessions lots of times, what should we be doing now before this shift? Is there even a shift now? What's going on? Tell us, tell us, tell us. And they do tell us. They do tell us. But, you know, are we going to make choices to actually apply it or not? It's a big sticky one. Like, this is the $1 million question, isn't it? Are we going to apply it or not? And they really would like you to apply it. And I feel like they've been quite frustrated for those people who haven't been able to apply it. So I know that people still can't fathom the laser. And so they will block it in sessions and they will say, no, not happening. No, laser's not happening. So then I asked the subconscious. So, oh, okay. So this happened the other day, right? After doing the reptilian collectives thing, I had a client who I asked about the laser event, and you could tell the subconscious was battling with the conscious mind, right? Because the client's scared of what they're going to hear. She admitted it beforehand, and she was right there in the session. And so I asked the subconscious about the laser, and the conscious mind came in and said, no, 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 no. And I was like, okay, so tell me more about that. You couldn't tell me why the laser isn't going to occur, because the laser still has to, according to the next session I had in much detail. So it's really interesting that lots of people are still afraid of the laser, that they will come zipping in to shut it down. And a new practitioner wouldn't know conscious mind versus subconscious, because some clients are so scared of the information, they will tell you beforehand and they will tell you after as well. So the clients literally will tell them themselves subconsciously or consciously, but you need to hear it. And the subconscious was battling with that client because they did say, oh, it's, you know, they did say more information about it. And that's fine. Do I need to know the information? Of course, I keep hearing about the information from all the other sessions I do, but it just was a great reminder for me about people who are still afraid, people who are still in fear, and people who still need to really control the situation. Because if they're out of control, apparently all hell breaks loose, right? And the laser event does sound like all hell breaks loose. Like, yeah, I understand that. That sounds really scary. But when you remember those people are exiting to go and shift, because our life here has to end, like always, right? We always knew that we would be born and we would die. And the privilege of this information is knowing what's happening and that there is no true death. While we release ourselves from these meat suits, we're still, you know, you're still going to do lots of inner work, people. You can't fucking escape it. Even when we shift, okay? So you might as well just get on with it now and stop delaying yourselves. I say that with love. Okay, now I feel better. Inner work, it's free. So yeah, there's so much to consider, and I really am really not sorry for those people who I've triggered today, because, you know, we need to be mature and focus and move forward. And in terms of free, and do your sessions and figure out what's going on for you. If you are told by your subconscious, or if you are told by your conscious mind in a session that the laser event isn't happening, fantastic, great for you. Then can you now be comfortable? Can you now have faith and hope something better is happening? Can you now relax? Because those people who are terrified of the laser event, you know, this is their sticking point. They can't see any good from that. They can't understand any metaphysical perspectives from that. So they are handbraking the shit out of that. And that is fine. That is their subconscious knowing this is too much for them. This is their breaking point. This is their breaking point. The subconscious will clearly say it's bigger. and it's all that sort of stuff. But the client during the session won't be able to hear that. And so this is why it's really important to listen to the sessions and really hear what they're saying, right? Really hear what they're saying, because we can assume a lot of stuff. When I was thinking, oh gosh, we shared that session about the reptilians, because they name a location and they name dates. And I know that so many people are so focused on dates and locations. I just thought, oh my gosh, here we go again. They're all going to fall and trip into and be obsessed with dates and labels and blah, 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 blah. And I did have to sort of think about, no, should we not share that? Because, you know, people would get fixated on the dates. And so that's why I said in the descriptions, please listen to the dates, because it doesn't apply to everyone. It applies to those people who are attached to the reptilian collective through choices of drugs. And so, you know, that's a big event for them, because it takes time for them to kind of heal and acclimate and be able to hold that frequency and feel this liberation. It's a big deal. You can't expect these drug addicts who have had these lifestyles for 30 years to suddenly just be like, boom. It's a healing process. It's a moving forward. So it doesn't surprise me. I thought, 10 to 12 days was a great window of opportunities for growth. So there's that. But I assumed lots of people would jump and just hear what they want to hear, which is dates for the laser, dates for the shift, all that sort of stuff. So listen to the sessions again without assumption. Listen to the actual words and pay a lot of focus. A lot of people I know listen to them kind of, while they're rather distracted themselves. Like, I'm just going to listen to this in the background. If I hear dates, then I'll focus. Everything else is just a blur to me. That's a choice. But they will still ask me really basic, fundamental subjects and questions that we've already covered a lot of times. Like, they'll be like, oh, what should I do with my, sleeping uncle? He's such a prickly cactus. What do you think I should do? What should I say? Should I tell him about the shift? It's like, no, you just love them. Oh, but he's horrible. He's so mean. And so when you are mean to horrible people, when you are mean to hurt people, when you're mean to those who are not up to speed with what you're wanting them to be up to speed with, does that kind of then suddenly make them awake or help them or get them prepared for what's coming? Possibly not, I say. So there's just so much to consider and so much to ponder, but we have to be okay with whatever is coming. And so I'm looking forward to hearing much more information in future sessions to see how things now are going to evolve now that we have this greater community, this greater unity. And so it's really interesting. What I noticed, the Schumann resonance was blocked out again. And when we've asked beforehand, other times that it has, like, what's going on there? They say we don't want people to see the energy that is occurring. So we hide it, we block it, we take their information offline. So you'll just get big blackouts. And I just sort of think, well, that's really interesting. And it's really interesting now. I'm sort of thinking, well, if everyone's on board now, why did you have to block it out? And they're saying, please wait till the 10 to 12 days for things to acclimatize or settle in. So it's very interesting. We can be in balance and neutral and have our joy in whatever we want to believe that is the most comfortable for us. If you're too scared and traumatized about the laser, okay, so then, dismiss it. Don't buy into it then. It's not a prerequisite. Often people I know are going to be involved in the laser, so the subconscious won't talk about it because they will know it freaks them out too much. And so, there's lots of reasons why the subconscious is protecting the clients. And the subconscious doesn't want to trigger you. And this is why it's always beneficial to go and channel in your subconscious to hear what they have to say, because they know you. They know the information you're ready for. And these sessions aren't, could be super poisonous for some people who are just not ready for it. Other people have growing in boundless leaps because they see things from the much bigger perspective that they never considered before. And so they have got their neutral and peace, and they're not fixated on the 3D dramas and details of things. They just are open, balanced, patient, right? Patient, most of you, right? You're so patient. My goodness, you're so patient. But, you know, I can understand and respect why you wouldn't be patient, right? Because you can feel all the traumas and traumas that everyone's still carrying. You know, you don't have to go to other worlds and you don't have to go to other countries and consider all their hardships, to look into your own communities and realize there's heaps of abundance of hardships, heaps of density, heaps of trauma just on the sleeves of everyone, on the hearts of everyone, on the minds of everyone. Their auric fields are so dense, you know, and it's just, you can literally walk past people and can feel all they truly want to do if they'll be honest with themselves. And if they could have the courage to show the world how they feel, they would literally collapse on the ground, weeping like children and sobbing and sobbing and sobbing, because they cannot understand what is going on. Energetically, they know big things are happening, and there's such in this combobulation of just, they know they're not being feeling and told the truth, and there is something that is so irking them, because it's like you have a big ulcer in your mouth and you're tonguing, but you cannot feel the ulcer. You know that there is something in disconnect. You can feel this pain, you can feel this trauma, you can feel this problem, and you cannot locate it in your tongue, in your mouth, but you can feel it, and it's like a phantom ulcer. And it's massive, and it's massive, and it's massive. And so they just want to cry because they can't locate the problem. If you can't locate the problem, you can't start then knowing what to do with the issue. And so there's people walking around sensing there's some big problem, and they can't even identify with it. They can't find it. And if they start talking about their dreams, or if they start talking about their senses, then they feel like they're going to lose all their friends and family's respect and be signed up to a loony bin. And that's maddening. It is so maddening to have no communication with people. So anyway, there's so much anyway. So I really want to make sure that there is nothing else big that is like impacting us in ways that we could help in the metaphysical perspective and ask our collectives to be able to do. And it was really interesting because I wanted to profoundly help certain people in my client's life who were struggling with this addiction. And I kept asking and asking and asking. It's like, I want to fix, I want this to be fixed. I want this to be fixed. Is this in their life contract to be like this? No. What? Okay. So then, you know, just keep trying to like burrow into this to figure out how can we help this person so much who was impacting my client's life. And it wasn't until, you know, I was just a little bit persistent, just a little. I'm a little bit obsessed with this work because I know how profound this work is. And so I want to make good use of it, because I never just see my client, I see my client and all of their family and their friends that are also impacting on my client. And we want to be able to help all. It'd be so wasteful to not help all in these sessions. But again, we can't get the answers if we don't know the questions. And I have had a few clients where their children have been addicted to certain drugs. And I've tried to ask before, and the subconscious was like, how dare you? This is a life contract. They want this. Bug off. You can't help this. And I was like, oh, of course it was a life contract. Sorry, pardon me, forgive me. You know, but at least it was good to be able to let the clients know that there's a life contracts. It's exactly how they need and want this life to be. But of course, we judge that and you know, throw on parent guilt or embarrassment or shame or something, which I guess is part of the learning lessons and the contracts you had with each other. This is why it's really good and important to ask in sessions about these things. Is it a life contract? Doesn't it help understand that it's life contracts? So when we discovered that lots of these people, it isn't part of their life contracts, but they're still using their free will to get more drugs. And remember, this isn't illegal drugs as well. This is also pharmaceutical drugs we were talking about too, right? So please, for you pill popping, prescription loving people who are judging those meth addicts, you're in the same boat. Just because your doctor has prescribed them for you doesn't mean that you're not impacted. So yeah, spoiler alert for those people who assume that they are free from this. Interesting times. So what next? And what sort of questions would you want to hear in a session if we were going to do a new overall summary of everything that is coming? What sort of things would you want to double check and hear and make sure they can answer it now with this new extension of time that we have had since 2020? What's still bothering you, or what are you still wanting to clarify in sessions to be able to just hear from this perspective what's going on and why? We know that things have changed, even from just doing these sessions, how, we have the collectives have tried one thing, it didn't quite work, and they tried another thing, it didn't quite work, and they want the best for all. And what I've heard also recently, which I found really fascinating, is that they've locked and stopped people now independently going to the new earth. So that has been taken off. The opportunities. People who could have gone by themselves to the new earth are now having to go on ships, because once again people have misheard that or misused that and try to take codes from that. And so now most people have got their codes removed and they're going somewhere else. So things like that have changed, because again, people were misusing the information from sessions and assuming that they could just hack into the codes. So it's interesting. It's interesting how some practitioners have asked for codes. Their clients in other lifetimes have received upgrade codes for certain information, and the practitioner is asking for those codes. Remember, all collectives have practitioners. So we're looking forward to seeing how this new unity in all of our communities and all of our collectives are going to be moving forward. So I'm very much looking forward to change. And I'm excited to see what is going to happen. Also being very mindful that sometimes change can look scary, but it's always purposeful. So be open to all, be open to everything, and allow whatever to come through us to just, we just observe it. The channeling that I haven't made public yet, but it's out there. I've shared the links. With Shiva and their collective was so relaxing. Oh my gosh. I think maybe that's the reason why I'm feeling like this sort of now, is that it was so relaxing. The energy is so peaceful, and that's how we all should be. And then we come back into the 3D and be able to deal with people and their tourism for their spirituality and a whole lot of other sort of stuff. And it just gets a bit tedious sometimes. So pardon me for this behavior. I'm just really wanting to focus on what have we missed and what have I assumed that was all life contracts, and then discovered, oh shoot, that's actually really powerful, this empowerment of from a certain collective. So there was something else I was going to say. Yeah, there's lots of things, lots of deliciously fun things that are coming. That's right, I was going to say that energy that I felt when I was channeling in Shiva, oh my gosh, I just wanted to completely marinate myself in that energy, and it was almost a challenge to speak, because it was like, oh my god, so I just wanted to sleep and absorb it. So I did notice that they were coming in quite strong before I even started, and was talking about the actual true significance of snakes are really good, because you remember how this planet was not supposed to have bacteria, and bacteria came in because of someone littered in the universe and it sort of landed on through a meteorite, came onto this planet. It really screwed up our collective's experiment, which is what they call this earth, and us as humans, and blah 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 blah. So the snakes seem to be a really good filtration for that bacteria, because they eat on a lot of rodents that actually carry a lot of that bacteria. So think of rats. So really interesting, because I know that a lot of people think that snakes are reptilians, so they must be the devil, but it seems like when we ask in a metaphysical perspective, they're actually really good to cleanse this planet from the rodents that are carrying the bacteria. So very interesting, right? Very, very, very interesting. So it's always good to just check on these myths or these symbols, to actually ask, because we have been told that sugar is also fine. It's also fine. Sugar is great. Athletes run faster on sugar, right? Apparently. And then the salt's the devil. So what we're learning is the salt's actually a really good thing to balance and harmonize the body and feed the cells of the body rather than sugar. So what have we been sold as that's really good for us, which really has an ulterior motive? And what, we've said this before. So the whole snake thing was very interesting. So as soon as I was getting ready to do that session, I could feel their energy, and it was just lots of downloads of information, which was helping me, because there were some things I've always sort of questioned, especially the snakes. I never got to ask. Anyway, there was that. And then I just felt so relaxed. I kind of was so deep and away with it. I wasn't translating the beginning as well as I could have been. So sorry about that. Apologies, I'm not perfect. And I would never want to be, because, that would be randomly strange to be perfect. Don't think it's possible here. And that is all cool. So I forgive myself for not being perfect, and you can forgive others for not being perfect, and you can forgive yourself for not being perfect. All's experiences and lessons and journeys and all that fantastic stuff. So if you haven't found the link to Shiva, I'll make it public today. It feels like sometimes when I would put heaps of videos on for conversations on heaven on earth, lots of people would not realize that there was 2 in one day, and so they wouldn't pick it up. And YouTube has this really interesting thing of not sharing information from new sessions and things. So there's that. All purposeful, so nothing to worry about, all in divine timing, right? So anyway, sending you guys lots of genuine love and appreciation, because I know how hard it can be, especially when we can feel into the traumas and energies of others who are really struggling. And we want the best for them, and when we can see that it's almost like there is no hope for them, they are just circling and looping in density. How are we supposed to help them? Seriously, how are we supposed to help them? Because they are stubborn, and they are looping, and they are not realizing how hard they're making it for themselves. Easy answer: love them, love them, love them. Pick some wild flowers and give them to them. Send them photos of flowers. Send them emails of flowers. Send them a love bubble. It could be a profound upliftment on their day. And it seems like all you need is love to be able to feel that energy, to then realize this feels nice. I might start creating it for myself. So thank you for listening to this rant. And in all sincerity, if you do think of anything that you wonder that hasn't been covered before in a session that could really help a big group of people or even a small group of people, it did seem like there was a correlation between those drug addicts who were also sexually abused as children. So it seems like they have got one trauma, and they're trying to heal and fix that trauma with drugs. And so again, the rape energy is definitely reptilian. And as we know, the reptilians can pop in certain senses, certain images into someone's mind, like with that little girl, push that child into that wall. So it was a sense, it was a word, but they can only say things. We have to act them out. It's our choices to act them out. So it's very interesting, very, very, very interesting how much we have. I almost want to say when they do that to us, then that's breaching our free will, but our choices are our free will. What we're exposed to is basically up for game. If you're on this planet, people are using their free will to expose you to a whole lot of stuff to keep you in fear, or to disarm or disempower yourself, or to disarm and empower others, disempower others. So it's all down to your choices, how you respond to things. Interesting times. Okay, for anyone still listening, I love you. Have a fantastic day, find lots of joy, and just honestly send love and healing to as many and all that needs it at this important time. And please remember, interns are free.